Hello everybody. So I'm inspired to share a question that was asked on Facebook, and it is in response to a previous video or blog post that I put out titled, "Is it okay to call Jesus a liar?" And the question asks, how do I heal my split perception between the Bible and A Course in Miracles? How do I reconcile the differences between the two? And it's important to recognize, I think, that we can never really reconcile anything in form, because the purpose of form is to stand out, to be separate, to create the illusion of separation. So if form's purpose is to create the illusion of separation, you're not going to be able to reconcile or find reconciliation in form. And to reconcile is to find harmony. It is to find consistency in the form. And we can't find consistency in the form. The only thing we can find consistency in everything is peace. And that really is the aim of awakening. It is to see peace in all things, regardless of what things seem to appear, or seem to appear in terms of fear, or seem to appear in terms of differences. To see the underlying consistency in all things is to reconcile all things, is to recognize that the reconciliation is already here. So when we see form, when we take in as true what the body's eyes see, then we see separation. But if we want to see truth, which is oneness, the wholeness in everything, then the best we can do with form is assign form the purpose of peace, so that everything that's seen is being retranslated by what knows oneness within us, the Holy Spirit. A Course in Miracles says the Holy Spirit sees wholeness in everything. So to assign the purpose of peace to everything is to come back and remember the wholeness of everything. A Course in Miracles says anything that shares the same purpose is the same. So when we look at A Course in Miracles and we look at the Bible, it's really a question of what are we assigning the theology, the words, the symbols. If we're assigning both to peace, then we will see the peace in both or all of it. The reconciliation is here and now in how we see it. So it's not about listing the similarities in terms of, the Course and the Bible both say the same things, or they use the same language, so therefore we can, say, oh, it's the same in these ways. Not that that is not helpful, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but there'll always be a flip side to that, which is there's some things that it says that they're different and contrast in the teaching. One says sin is real and hell's real, and the other one doesn't. In fact, the other one says it's not. So you'll always have that to look at, and we can't deny it, or we won't find truth by denying that that's there, but we can look at it in terms of, well, how do we assign it the purpose of peace? We can then come into an understanding of the thought system that's behind some of those ideas that may be seen in the Bible, and then understand kind of where it came from, or just retranslate it all. There's a line in the Bible in which it says, "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord." A Course in Miracles uses that line and retranslates it and says that same line from the Bible can be seen as God as a vengeful God. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. You can interpret that as God as a vengeful God, or you can look at it, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, meaning give me your fears, give me your pain, give me your anger. You don't have to be angry. So it's a very different way of looking at that one line. And the entire Bible can be looked at from that perspective. And when it's assigned the purpose of peace, we come into the retranslation. The spirit within that sees wholeness in everything could emerge or be revealed to us. And really that's what we want in whatever form of theology, spiritual theology we're trying to follow. We're looking for wholeness, we're looking for peace. But it's not going to come from, what's right, what's wrong, or just trying to distinguish what's right and what's wrong. Not that there's anything wrong with that, and not that that isn't helpful if that's what's happening. That is what's happening, and it must be helpful if everything is being given the purpose of peace. But we don't have to do that to see the peace that's here. We don't have to understand. We don't have to understand it or dissect it or intellectualize or justify, or we don't have to work that hard for it. And so this message is really about withdrawing from the battleground, coming out of this argument, or out of this idea that we need to reconcile anything. It's just a question of, does it feel good or does it not feel good? Does it align with this idea of wholeness, or does it not? I think also a lot of times there's a tendency to want to find truth in the words, whether it be the Bible or A Course in Miracles, for the purpose of identity, to solidify a sense of self. In other words, people who are conservative Christians or conservative in any religion, or extreme with any religion, have a tendency to protect their religion or beliefs. And they do so because they identify so strongly with these beliefs that anything that seems to oppose or say something different really is interpreted as an opposition to the identity, to the self. And so who are we without our beliefs? Who are we if everything that we believed about the Bible is not true? Now that's very scary. In fact, that's one of the scariest things anybody can confront, is the collapse of their faith-based beliefs. Some of us have been indoctrinated as long as we can remember, or have held on to these strong beliefs for as long as we can remember as children. And so the idea that some part of it or all of it is wrong is very threatening to how one sees oneself. And that's really why we argue and fight, because our judgments and opinions are what define us. And when anything seems to oppose that, that threatens who we think we are. And this includes the Course. The Course can also be used for the purpose of self-identification. And certainly in my experience, that comes up to watch. And in my awareness, where I identify with being a Course teacher, or identify with knowing the truth in terms of words, or in terms of ownership on the truth. The willingness to be wrong about everything is the willingness to say, and somehow truth reveals itself in the willingness to let all of that go. To be wrong about everything, including the Course, including the Bible. This doesn't mean we give up the Course, it doesn't mean we give up the Bible, but we don't idolize the Course and we don't idolize the Bible as the only way or the only truth. And it doesn't have to conflict with anybody else's beliefs. In the end, we want to dissolve all beliefs of any kind. So it's not about any righteousness whatsoever. It's actually the opposite. It's really reinterpreting everything as part of the whole. So the reconciliation and the harmony is never going to be found in form. It's here right now. It is really so. It's because it's abstract. It's seemingly hidden, and we try to find it in things. We want to stand. Tell me the answer. We want to stand on the answer. We want to stand on the truth. Tell me, is it acceptable? Can I accept that as the answer? We want something to stand on, because then we can find relief. We want the answer. Even in our search for happiness, it's really a search for the answer. What is it going to be? Is it going to be the job? Is it going to be more money? Is it going to be the relationship? Is it going to be this project? Is it going to be my body? Is it going to be, anything? And so we're looking for the answer always. And we turn to religion because we think, nothing else worked, so this one's got to work. And it could be helpful that it is the course or religion, but even that needs to get looked at and eventually dropped. And when it does, when everything's been exhausted, what we find, where we find ourselves is right here. This has always been the answer. Reconciliation and harmony has always been here. We just haven't been able to see it because we've been working so hard to try to find it. Which one's right? Which one's wrong? And we want to protect it and hold on to it. We want to own it and claim it. And again, there's nothing wrong with any of that. Seeing that as okay is also seeing the sameness in everything, the wholeness in everything. Of course, the miracle says, that which shares a purpose is the same. So everything's welcome in the harmony. Everything's welcome in the flow. Therein lies the peace.